I got fined 10 grand for swimming in my own damn lake. Yeah, you heard that right. No warning, no knock on the door, just a fat envelope stuffed in my mailbox with HOA letterhead and a smug signature that screamed Karen. I thought it was a joke. I really did. But that's the day I realized this wasn't about rules. It was about control, and she picked the wrong guy to play power games with. So let me back up a second. I live out in a quiet corner of North Carolina. Bought this land back in '03 with my late wife. Built the house with my own hands. There's a spring-fed lake behind the place, deep, surrounded by pines that reflect off the surface like glass. The lake's been in the county records under my name for over 20 years. Deeded, surveyed, paid for. Never belonged to any HOA. That lake was my piece. Then came the HOA. About 2 years ago, a developer broke ground across the road, brought in shiny new homes and a shiny new homeowners association to go with them. Karen was the acting president. I say acting because she treats the title like she's running the Pentagon. Think high heels on gravel, oversized sunglasses, and a clipboard that never leaves her hand. She smiles with her teeth, but not her eyes. You know the type. At first, I figured she'd stay on her side of the road. But nope. She came marching over the minute the homes were half-built, claiming the lake visually enhanced their property value. Said she was organizing a lake committee. Asked if I'd consider making it a shared amenity. I laughed, politely at first. Told her, "Ma'am, I pay the taxes on that water. Always have." She didn't like that. Next thing I know, I'm getting nasty letters. Unauthorized water access. Unregistered recreational activity. All nonsense, but I figured they'd get bored and move on. I didn't think they'd actually find me. Not until I opened that envelope with the $10,000 bill plus threats of legal action. Now here's the kicker. I wasn't even throwing a party or running jet skis. I was just out there on a Tuesday morning, swimming laps like I've done for years. No noise, no guests, just me and the water. That fine lit a fuse in me. I started noticing things. One of her HOA security trucks was parking closer to my property line. A drone buzzed overhead a few times when I was out back. My mailbox got knocked off its post twice. Then she put up a no trespassing sign facing my lake, like I was the one who didn't belong. But I wasn't alone. Turns out my neighbor Dale, retired Navy, lives 3 lots down, had been watching her too. One afternoon, he strolled over with a thermos of black coffee and a folder in hand. Said, "I've had enough of that lady treating this neighborhood like her personal kingdom." Inside the folder, old HOA documents, including the original boundary lines. Guess what wasn't in them? My lake. Not even a foot. That was my first break. But Karen wasn't done. A week later, I came home to find a local cop at my door. Apparently, Karen called in a civil disturbance. Complaint said I was threatening residents by intimidating them with my physical presence near the lake. I'm 6'2", sure, but come on. I fish, I hike, I mind my business. Still, the cop had to file a report. And that, legally, was strike one against me on the HOA record. She was building a case. So I did the only thing I could think to dog it quiet. No more swimming. No more yard work near the shore. I kept to the front of my property and let her think she'd won. But behind closed doors, I was busy. I pulled every deed, plat map, and tax receipt I had. Went down to the county recorder's office and got copies stamped in blue ink. I filed a Freedom of Information request for every HOA meeting note that mentioned the lake. I hired a land surveyor independent, licensed with GPS records. And just for good measure, I installed 2 trail cams on my trees, aimed right at the lake. 2 weeks later, I had gold. One clip showed Karen walking a group of prospective buyers around the lake, gesturing like it was a community feature. Another clip, her assistant hammering a fake HOA sign into the grass on my land. And in the meeting notes, pages and pages of her talking about leveraging access fees from the lake for association beautification funds. I wasn't just dealing with pettiness, I was dealing with fraud. Time for the showdown. I called an emergency meeting with the HOA board, filed an official complaint, and presented every piece of evidence I had. Karen tried to talk over me, but this time I had Dale, 2 other neighbors, and even the county assessor backing me up. I laid out the footage, the maps, the deed line by line. I showed that every one of her so-called violations was made up. Worse, she was using the lake to inflate HOA dues without disclosure. The room got real quiet. Then I dropped the bomb. Turns out, the HOA's bylaws have a clause section 14.2 allowing fee adjustments if an officer is found abusing her position. I motioned to increase the HOA fees for Karen's property by 40%, citing misuse of common funds for personal gain. The board voted 5-1. Guess who was the one? She stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the blinds. I wasn't done. I filed a civil harassment suit the next morning. Named her personally, not just the HOA. Between the police report, the drone footage, and those fake signs, I had enough to trigger a formal review. And here's the poetic part: her own insurance had to cover her legal fees, which jacked up her premiums. Now she's paying more because of herself. She tried to countersue, tried to claim I defamed her. The judge laughed her out of the room. By fall, the case was over. Karen lost her HOA title. The board banned her from serving in any official capacity. My fine was not only irresolute, was declared baseless and retaliatory. And the cherry on top? I sold her footage rights to a local documentary team filming a piece on HOA overreach. They paid $5,000. Half went to the county veterans' lake cleanup fund. The rest, I used it to build a dock. Now I swim every morning, just like before, but now there's a small plaque on the dock that reads, "Private property. Enjoy responsibly." Funny thing is, I didn't want a war. I just wanted peace. But if you try to weaponize power against folks who've done nothing wrong, don't be surprised when they learn how to aim back. And Karen? She moved last winter, put her house on the market quietly. Rumor is she's in a gated community now. Guess she figured she'd try bossing around someone else. So I gotta ask, where do we draw the line between community and control? And when rules stop serving people, who's really breaking them? Thanks for sticking with me. If this story hit a nerve, share it, talk about it, and hate and forget to subscribe. There's more where this came from.